Okay, so before we get this video started, little disclaimer, this is not going to be like our usual videos. It's not going to be travel montages and, you know, places we've been. It's going to be a little bit more informative about, as you've seen in the title, it's going to be about Oradour and our experience with it.
So if you don't want to watch this, guys, there's plenty of other more uplifting, shall we say, content, easy watching. This, because this isn't going to be an easy watch, like we said on the disclaimer at the beginning. So, you know, if you wanted to see what other things we got up to in France while we were in the Dordogne, we have got two other videos you can watch. You can see other things we got up to, a lot more lighter, breezier kind of activities.
And if you want to watch any other videos beforehand, please do check them out.
Ollie will link them somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
So please do check them out if this isn't something you want to watch. We did feel like this is something that we needed to include and needed to talk about.
And if you do enjoy these style of videos, then leave a like, let us know in the comments.
And we can try and do more heavier and informative stuff, because when you are travelling, especially around Europe, because you can't beat around the bush, both World Wars, you know, it's part of our history, especially in Europe and in the UK. You know, it's everywhere. It's still raw. It still affects people to this day. So, you know, we can include more, maybe heavier stuff if it is something you guys enjoy watching. But
right. Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Full disclaimer: we have got a piece of paper as well with facts on, because we don't want to misinform you.
There's not actually that much on there, though.
No, just key facts I've written down, because I don't want us to state something.
And we're not historians.
No.
So any of you historians who are watching this video, don't slander us. This is just our own research, our own...
This is stuff I wrote down as we were walking around, like exhibits and stuff like that whilst we were there.
So, you know, and we'll be happy to read any comments that you want to leave if you want to give us some more information about it. So Oradour-Sur-Glane, it's a French village that is just outside the Dordogne region, which is where we were. It was about, what, an hour away from where we stayed?
Towards, is it Limoges?
Yeah, towards Limoges.
Limoges.
And Saint-Junien.
Again, don't penalise us for pronunciation. Brits are crap at pronunciation anyway, and the French language is so beautiful. It's just something we cannot do it justice. So don't jump at us about that either.
So it's a village that it wasn't miles away from us, and it's something that we were interested to go and look at, go and see with our own eyes.
There is actually two towns technically, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So there's a new Oradour and an old Oradour. The old Oradour is obviously the village that we're talking about today.
The preserved one. The
preserved one, and the new Oradour is a village that was rebuilt because they wanted to keep the old village. They built a new Oradour above old Oradour, and it actually kind of looks down on old Oradour.
We found it quite eerie, but...
Yeah, which, I mean, it's quite... Yeah, it says something about...
It's interesting to see the two towns opposite each other, but that's the kind of... what's the word? Format of Oradour at the moment. So I'll go into the history of the actual massacre if people don't know much about it. So basically on the 10th of June 1944, which was only 4 days after the D-Day landings, German troops, a unit of German troops, went into... We keep saying the village of Oradour, but it's actually a lot... It feels a lot bigger than a village, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's more of a town, as we would see
town.
now. I guess back in the day they would probably still see that as a village, but nowadays it's definitely more of a town. It had like a
tram running through it and everything, so it was a large... They call it the village of Oradour, don't they? But I don't know if it was actually classed as a village at the time or not. If you want to do your own research, do find that out. Anyway, so yes, a group of German troops went into Oradour and massacred the whole town. That include unarmed women, men and children. And it was all due to the Dordogne region and most of the whole southwest region of France was really heavy involved in the resistance, the French resistance. So basically they got punished for that. And the sad truth is they actually got the wrong village. They were targeting a specific person within the French resistance, which they believed, who they believed lived in the village of Oradour, because it's Oradour-Sur-Glane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Sur-Glane.
Sur-Glane. There's another Oradour, which was actually the village they were targeting. So they actually, even horribly, a horrible twist in the tale is that they actually got the wrong village. So yeah, 643 unarmed women, men and children were killed that day. So yes, that's the kind of basis of the history and what happened at Oradour. So yeah, we'll just talk through our experience and kind of what to expect.
It was quite daunting actually, because we'd heard a lot about it before we went, and we'd heard other people's experiences, and obviously they weren't good experiences, but it was something that we wanted to educate ourselves about, and that's another reason why we're doing this video, is so that we can educate ourselves more if you leave comments, and then we can also educate people that are watching this video.
Definitely. So yeah, you arrive at a car park. Another key thing to actually say is that it's actually free to go into the village.
It doesn't cost a penny.
The only thing you have to pay for is the extra exhibit. But I think that's because, let's be honest, if that was in Britain we'd have to pay. But the French are so passionate about people wanting to visit this village and remember how horrible humanity can be, and that we have to learn from this. They make it free, which I think is amazing, because obviously it's accessible to anyone and everyone. And also the disability access was amazing.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
There was lifts everywhere. We had my grandma with us, and she's not best at walking anymore. She can walk fine, but not for long distance or anything. And there's a lot of steps and stuff, so it just meant we could take the elevator, and it was just so much easier for her. So they make it so accessible to go and visit the village, which I think is amazing. So yes, you arrive, you immediately go into a smaller exhibit, which we weren't allowed to film, which kind of gives you the facts, the brief history, kind of what you're going into, and then you go into the gallery, which is it the Faces of Oradour? Yes, yeah, the Faces of Oradour. It is called the Faces of Oradour. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it was quite difficult. It's basically a stretch, a tunnel if you will, that you walk through to get to the village, and both sides of this tunnel are faces and portraits of the 643 people that were massacred. So that's men, children and women, and as you're walking through you're seeing their names, their faces, and it actually has their age on there, which was horrible to see actually, because some of the children were as young as 1 year old. So yeah, that was our experience walking through there. There are still some blank tiles as well where they can't find, because the whole of the town was burnt down, so the only any images or any information they could get was from surrounding families that lived outside of the village. So there are still a lot of blank tiles. They are still trying to fill in the Faces of Oradour, to put faces to the massacre basically. So it's not just a number, you're actually a person. Yeah, it makes it a lot more real, I'd say, wouldn't it? Yeah, definitely. Rather than seeing it as 643, you actually see each and every individual name. Yeah. So you walk through that, which I think is an amazing way to start. Yeah. You know, like you say, putting faces to what you're actually about to experience. It makes it a lot more real, a lot more poignant. Then you enter the village. It's just burnt down ruins, isn't it? Really, you just can't. It's so eerie. It is like a little times capsule. It's got like the old tram lines, the old-fashioned telephone wires, the way they used to. We said that was really, when you see it in like war films and stuff, those kind of old-fashioned telephone wires, I think, is something that I really what's the word? It's like a symbol, isn't it? Of, not a symbol, but you know what I mean. You can relate to that kind of era. It throws you back. Like, it makes you realise you are like back in the 1900s. Like, you're not just walking through a village in 2013.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is going.
You were going back to the 1940s.
Oh,
yeah.
one thing I did say that at the time, which I still stand by, it was weirdly beautiful watching all of these ruins and seeing all these items in the houses be overgrown with like flowers and greenery, and we said it was really like it was beautiful watching nature sort of do its thing.
Because it is in a gorgeous region of France. It's so peaceful now. You can hear birds, and obviously everybody walking around is very sombre. It is a very quiet place to be now. But like Holly says, like my grandma mentioned, she said that they're actually preserving it. They're trying to hold back nature from kind of. So if we did just let nature take its course, it would be an abundance
forest,
of greenery and trees and and life and. So it's just hard to imagine a bustling town there now because it's just so quiet. But we walked past. Everything's written in French. Luckily, we had Google Translate, and my gran and dad dabble in a bit of French, so they kind of managed to decipher some of the boards out for us, didn't they? Because our French is very minimal, unfortunately. We went past like garages, hotels, restaurants, pharmacies, cafes, and like Ollie said, you could still see, that there was like bikes still on the wall
and cars still in the garage.
The garage was full of cars, wasn't it? What had just been abandoned and left. So we walked towards the church initially, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
The church is horrible. The church is where, because the women and the children were separated from the men. I believe it was because I think they wanted to prevent fight backs, basically, weren't they? They were trying to prevent the men
from
specifically fighting back, basically.
So they took the men elsewhere to the town square?
I think it was just to add to the confusion, the chaos, just so they couldn't fight back, because they just didn't know what was going on.
So the men were taken to the town square and just shot on the spot? Just like that?
But the women and children were locked into the church, and the church was set on fire. You can go into the church. When we visited, there was restoration in progress, so we couldn't go in. But my dad had been in there.
And he said it was awful.
He said he wouldn't have gone in again. He said if it was open, we could have gone in, but he said he refused to go in there again. He said it was one of the most horrible places he's ever visited, and I can imagine. And
just to give you guys a little insight, it's things like still being able to see like scratch marks on the walls and things like that.
And there's burn marks everywhere. It's just unimaginable, to be honest. I can't. You tell the story and it just doesn't
seem real.
No, it's insane. So we didn't go in the church, but from second-hand knowledge, it's just a very heavy place to be. I think it's probably one of the most emotional parts of the village, maybe just because it is so. Mothers literally standing with their children and burning alive. That's, it's horrible to even say it.
Yeah.
So that was really heavy and eerie. Then we kind of carried on, walked past some other. You kind of get there. I think obviously family from outside of the village that's still around now. They put a lot of like memorabilia. You see pictures of like the houses.
Yeah.
And stuff in there, like if a house got burnt down that a family was in.
They would put like the pictures and names of the family that lived there, so that it was, you could really start to imagine in your head what this village or town would look like if there was like everyone there still. It was creating a lot of imagery.
Yeah, it made it very poignant. And then we went to the square, which is where all the men and boys, maybe teenage boys would have got shot. Obviously the children got taken off with the women, so all the men got gunned down, basically. And as you go past the square, you see the infamous car, which is left on the square. I think it's so poignant because it literally just got abandoned in the square. Somebody must have been driving, just driving to the square, and then these German troops arrived, and they literally probably would have had a gun held to their head and told to get out of the car.
Yeah.
And you're not going to argue, are you? So that's really poignant. That's just sat abandoned in the square.
Yeah, that really stands out. Obviously, you will see the videos that we've taken now, but as you can see, it stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. And we also went to visit the graveyard, the town graveyard, and it feels like the majority are of the village that got massacred. They're all the victims, aren't they?
But there are a few that are families that have been sort of like, so say like half of the family was already there for the from the massacre. They'd be added on graves where the rest of the family joined them.
You just saw families literally wiped out. You know, grandparents, parents, children, all gone.
Whole generations of families.
What I think was really important, we forget how not long ago it was. Like, we were looking at the children, and my dad kept saying they would have been younger than grandma. And it just hits you then that, like, whoa.
It's not even like 100
It's not even
years
that.
ago.
It's within our lifetime. Like, a lot of these people should still be alive, and you know, they should have their own grandchildren. And
yeah.
And at the end of the graveyard, there is they're see-through, aren't they, coffins?
Yeah, with bones and sort of remains that they can't
identify.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's just a symbolic nod to the people that haven't got a face.
But what it was a particularly what's the word? A particularly hard thing to go and see.
Yeah, we were quite shocked by it actually, weren't we? We were. I don't think my dad even knew that was there, so we all kind of took a step back with that. But yeah, and then there's another exhibit you can kind of take a look at with other bits that they managed to recover from the fire. Mostly metal, because everything just burned to the ground. So it was mostly bits that they could kind of salvage. I think one bit that did hit us was that letter and lock of hair.
Yes.
That obviously wasn't in the village when the massacre occurred, because a lock of hair would have...
But it made us think that all the men and the boys that were there were either really young or on the older side.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least 30 plus.
There was no mid-20s men there, because...
They were still fighting. So we were just talking, you forget also about the soldiers that would have had to return to their village. You know, they've literally just been liberated. D-Day has happened, and the thing they've been ploughing for, the thing they've been working towards and keeping them going was seeing their family again and going back home. You just can't imagine after 4 years of warfare being told your home's gone, your family have gone. You just can't imagine coming back to something like that, can you?
No.
So that was just an added heartache on something that was just already too horrendous and tragic to even comprehend. So yeah, and then like we said, there is another exhibit that you can visit at the end for an extra fee. We weren't able to stay any longer, but if we went again, I probably would go in to learn more,
to educate more.
But yeah, that's the kind of...
And that's just our experience.
Yeah.
Everyone's experience
is very different.
And if you were to go and see this village as well, your experience would be different to our experience.
I think some people just go to see the exhibit, some people can't even face the village, or some people go to visit the village and they might get down the first street and then they can't... It's a really heavy place, you just got to...
It is.
It's good to educate yourself, but, you know you, and we're all only human, and sometimes it is just too much to face and to hear. So yeah, that's Oradour, guys. again, we know this was really heavy.
But we want to... This isn't a usual type of video that we would bring to the channel, but it was something that we experienced, and you know, this channel is slowly becoming like showing our life rather than just what we're doing when we're travelling. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and the informativity, is that a word?
Yeah, can make it one now.
I don't think it's a word.
Informative.
Nuss.
So then the reason why we wanted to do this, because there's a reason that France have decided to preserve this village. They want this as a reminder of what has happened, why it can never happen again, and how horrendous humans can be to each other in horrible circumstances. You know, we need to remember that this can never happen again. We need to feel shocked and sad and horrified, just to remind us, look what's happened in the past. This can't happen again. We believe, we've got from a reliable source, that it is in the French school curriculum that every student has to go and visit Oradour on a school trip. And there were, I think we spotted two or three
there was 2 or 3 schools when we went, so
I think, yeah, we believe, we've been told that it's in their curriculum, they have to visit. So this just shows how much France, you know, they really want people to know about this. They really want, one, for the victims to be remembered, and for their names and their faces
and their families
to, you know, be, you know, they want them to live on. They want their memory
to be remembered. Yeah.
But also just to remember the message. You know, it just shows how poignant it is.
And so something like this never happens again.
Yeah.
Because it's brutal.
Yeah, it's horrendous. But we understand, you know, anything to do with, you know, war and warfare, you know, there's stuff going on right now. We know how many people this can affect. So if this has affected you, there's plenty of resources online. If you want to find out more about Oradour, like we said, literally just Google it. And it comes up with so many resources.
And if you do find anything that we haven't mentioned in this video today, then let us know, put it in the comments, and we'll try and read them and get back to them.
Yeah.
There we go. We hope you've found this informative. We hope you've enjoyed learning.
From it, yeah.
Yeah, gained something from it. That's good. Yeah, next week
we're going to get to much more brighter,
yes,
happier content. That's a bit more easy to watch.
Yes.
And you can put your tissues away now.
Yeah.
To be as sensitive as we can with such a horrible topic that needs to be discussed.
Absolutely.
So, please no hate. Because this is difficult enough. I'm sorry, yeah, this is difficult enough for us to talk about.
Yeah.
But we felt it was important to share.
Cool.
So much love, guys. Stay safe. We love you all, and we'll see you for more brighter, happier A&O content very soon.